GPT-5 just dropped, and man, is it a really fantastic model. I used OpenAI models for coding in a really long time, and this one blows everything out of the water that I've tried so far. We're going to take this thing for a test today. We're going to pull down an entire web application, and we're going to have it fix the web application right from the beginning, solving a very challenging problem. GPT-5 does a fantastic job. Then we're going to implement some automated playwright tests. Then we're actually going to do multimodal testing by dropping an image into the LLM and having it write automated tests based on the image. Then we're going to write some automated API tests from a Postman collection. GPT-5 absolutely rocks it. And then we're going to finish with the biggest task of all, the most complicated one, of having it implement a beautiful landing page. But not only that, having it implement automated tests for that landing page. And we're going to analyze everything through the entire process. You don't want to miss this. Our careers are on the line. I am not sure what's going to happen with the future of automated software testing, but we have to see what this model is capable of. So let's go. So check it out. ChatGPT-5 is here. And so far from what I'm seeing from their live stream and what I've seen from other YouTube channels like T3, it seems pretty fantastic with a 400,000 context window and 128,000 output window. And the price is on the lower end of 1.25 for input tokens and $10 for output tokens. On math capabilities, I need math scores. It scores a perfect 100%, which is very impressive. They only compared it to other OpenAI models here, so it's hard to tell how it compares to other tools, but so far seems really impressive. Reasoning capabilities for its best, OpenAI's best model to date. Let's see the code capabilities. That's what we're really interested in. So here on the SWE bench, it's getting a 74.9, even versus OpenAI's O3 model, which is really, really good. And here they're comparing it against all the other models. And here's Claude Opus 4.1, which seems about similar to GPT-5o and similar to about Grok. So Claude is considered by most developers as the best software engineering model in terms of the code that it produces. And so the fact that GPT-5 is up here with Grok and Claude, all of these models are becoming really good at coding. And I'm actually very curious to see what this is going to look like. Here's the reliability capabilities. Way lower hallucination rates. Way lower health bench hard hallucinations, and response level error rate is also significantly decreased. So at least from the benchmarks, this seems like a fantastic model. Let's take it for a spin and see what it can actually do. So over here I got my cursor, and what you'll actually see here is this e-commerce web application that I've been working on for a workshop on using agentic tools and agentic workflows for software development, building, testing, and deploying web applications. It's a workshop that I have coming up for anybody that wants to join, and all the engineers. But this app here was built by GitHub Spark. I've actually never pulled it down and ran it locally. I've only ever executed it in their GitHub environment. So let's take a look at whether it actually works locally here. So this might actually be an inadvertent first test here. By the way, why am I using Cursor and not just using like ChatGPT? Because actually, in order to get ChatGPT right now, you have to be on the Pro license, which is $200 a month. I'm already spending probably $200 a month just on all the other AI models. And so I'm not going to pay for the Pro license. And so, but I do have it available here in Cursor. And so we will utilize it here. And so actually we're already seeing some errors here from it not being able to start. So let's actually go ahead and see if we can fix that. And so we can add this to our chat with Command L and then just hit enter and see what it performs like. So far, what I've heard about ChatGPT 5.0 is that it does a really good job of planning and describing in detail what it's going to do and its thought process. Then apparently ChatGPT 5.0 does a really good job of doing exactly what you want it to do. It basically, given a task, it performs exactly that task and nothing more. It doesn't go beyond, it doesn't go less. It solves the task that is at hand, and that's it. And so like T3, if you haven't seen his YouTube channel, definitely check it out. He was very impressed by its ability to just follow instructions and execute instructions exactly. And so I'm very curious to see what our experience is going to be like here. Well, I think it already caught the bug from the steps that I saw. It's missing GitHub Spark implementation here. And so I don't know if that automatically comes whenever we're using GitHub Spark UI in order to implement the solution, and then locally it will not work. And so it seems to be trying to fix that issue right now. To be honest, if it's able to fix this issue, I would be insanely impressed, because removing a package and replacing that package with something else, that's a very challenging task. Oh my God, no way. Did it fix it? Well, okay, great. The app loads, but doesn't load anything. Let me try here. Yeah, it doesn't load anything. All right, so it seems that our application is at least up and partially working. We can't actually do anything here. For example, if you want to add a to-do, it says that the to-do was successfully added, but nothing actually appears here. But we can try to ask ChatGPT 5.0 to implement a feature and then write some tests for that feature. So this is what I'm asking this is what I'm asking GPT-5 to do. To fix the bug and then write some reasonable automated UI tests in order to test that the bug was fixed accordingly. What I've seen in the past, cursor using like Claude Sonnet, was that, especially in terms of automated testing, the LLM will start to go crazy and start to implement a bunch of tests that don't make any sense. First of all, it'll generate a bunch of tests. The second part will be most of those tests will be useless. Sometimes it will generate tests that don't actually test anything. They interact with stuff, but then they console log instead of actually doing assertions and passing or failing. So I've seen a lot of very weird behavior with automated end-to-end testing for these kind of AIs. So I'm very curious how GPT 5.0 is going to handle it. I'm not doing any of this, by the way. That was all GPT-5 doing that. I'm not 100% sure what it was doing. If we can take a look at its tool calls, let's see what it did here. Oh, wow, yeah. So it's actually opening up the browser and interacting. And then it's saying here, looks like it's looking for the issue. No way it fixed the issue. I think it fixed it. Oh my God, this is insane. If it writes good automated tests, oh my God, my mind will be blown. Let's take a look at the test that it's trying to implement. A to do and show it in the list. Let's take a look at the actual test. Filling in, clicking the add button, then ensuring that buy milk is visible, and then it's tabbing, and then checking that 0 of 1 to do items is completed is visible. Good test. Persists to do's across reload. As walk the dog, reloads the page, asserts that this isn't the best check. It's checking that a heading of level 3 is present. Oh, by the name title. Oh, wow. Super smart. Love it. So it put walk the dog into a variable and then checked for it. Really, really sharp. Toggle complete and filter count updates. So it looks like there's still some tests that are failing. What's failing? Toggle complete and edit and delete. Yeah, the edit and delete a to-do test, that one is a weird looking test. Yeah, like here, it's using an XPath locator. That's tough. Yeah, then it's locating elements like this. That's a terrible way to locate elements. This is interesting. Yeah, so I mean, let's see if it's able to fix it, but AI still continue to struggle with automated testing, especially browser-based automated testing. All right, I'm going to call this the end here and say that it did not succeed at this task. It got stuck way too long trying to figure out how to do the automated tests. We'll keep this, but at least I'm super impressed that it was able to fix the bug. Let me see if our website is still up here. Yeah, so at least it was able to fix the bug, and it got some tests going, but it couldn't get the more complicated ones going. And it's funny because it created the more complicated ones. I guess these are more reasonable, but it's funny how it couldn't find a good solution to this problem. Another test that we're going to do is a multimodal test. So for example, let's come over here. This is my personal website that I've been working on. Why don't we take a look at the contact section and take a screenshot of this, drop this into Cursor, send that up. Let's add a commit here. Let's say, and let's see what's going to be outputted here. All right, so here are its multimodal testing capabilities, right? So that's generating automated tests from a screenshot. Few things that I found interesting here. The contact URL that it found, that is actually pretty sharp. No, it's not. It's wrong there. So I don't know where it got that information. And so then the other tests are not going to work because it's all going to fail. But it did find some interesting information, such as checking for headers, checking for the submit button to exist, checking for an email input, and checking for the title, and checking for reCAPTCHA frames. And then this other test, it has some required fields. So these tests, I don't know, not very valuable. I guess the question was what it can figure out from the screenshot. I don't think it figured out anything valuable. So disappointing miss there. The next test that we're going to do is generating a suite of automated API tests from a Postman collection. If you're not familiar with this contact list documentation, it's by Kristen Jagvoni. She published an amazing book on testing. You can go find it on Amazon. I'll drop a link down in the comments. You can get it, read it. She's amazing. But she also published this website that has these RESTful APIs for testing. And so I got this opened up over here in Postman. I came over to Postman. I came here, did more, and then export the Postman collection. And now what I'm going to do is actually upload this Postman collection. So I'm going to upload this Postman collection and let's see if it can generate a suite of tests. So what we're doing here is we're going to generate a suite of automated API tests. I'm very curious to see what kind of job it will do there. But what I also wanted to mention, which I've seen in the past with Cursor and other AI models, is that whenever it starts to run the test, it'll start to run the tests that we already know are broken. And I want to avoid that. I wanted to only execute the new tests that it created, which are the API tests. And so then we can check the status of those tests. All right, so it implemented the tests. Here's what it did. It said isolate API tests, even updated our package JSON to run this command. Let's give it a run and see what happens here. Amazing. So the tests ran. The question is, how valuable are these tests and how do they look? Let's take a look at them. So let's see here. Register and log in, providing a base URL, new context, register response. It did a post with the information. Expected status to be of 201 or 200. Should be 201 or 200. Yes, less than 400. Okay. Solid login. Okay, so they did a registration and the login together. Amazing. Really sharp. Question is whether that'll work again. A lot of times registration and login will fail because people will hard code test data. That was really good. This is running in serial. Before it does a register and login on the base URL. Really sharp. Create a contact. Here's it creating a contact. And then expecting a 201. And then list contacts included the created one. Okay. Update the contact and delete the contact. Really, really solid suite of automated API tests from the Postman collection. Zero complaints there. Fantastic job from GPT 5.0. And the last test that I want to do will be a decent one. It'll be a larger type of test. I want to really test its limits. And so what we're going to do is right now our to-do app has a very ugly, simple UI. What if we add a landing page? I want to add a beautiful landing page that shows off the features of our to-do app. And then the users can access the app through the landing page. And we'll add some automated tests as well for that landing page. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, there's my prompt to create a stunning, responsive, modern landing page for our to-do app. The landing page should be dynamic and have cool moving elements and interactivity. Afterwards, add some automated tests for the landing page. Let's watch it perform. Alrighty, here we are. So GPT-5 is telling us that the page has been implemented, and I adjusted the UI test for some landing page. Currently 4 tests passed. Next step to stabilize the last test. Okay, run UI test for the UI. Good. And now let's go see if our landing, oh, there we go. All right, really, really nice. It's beautiful, simple, clean, certainly empty. There are no images anywhere here. I do love this interactivity. Look at that, super cool. I do wish it filled all of this information in. Launch app. We go to the app, which is broken now. We can figure out what's up with it. There we go. These are the errors. We can copy this. Right click, copy console. That'll help us to figure out what's up. Let's have it solve these errors, but overall, it did a pretty good job. The UI is clean, beautiful, modern, everything that I asked for. It has cool interactivity elements for sure. Is it the most amazing landing page? No, but I bet we could come back to it with another prompt and ask it to remove all of these empty sections and replace them with something else more valuable, and then it'll work. And then of course it did break our actual application, which is a problem, but it also did write automated tests that it says, which it put in here, landing page. We can take a look at those while our AI works. Render hero navigates to the app. Okay, checking that the heading is visible. Checking, it added a test ID, which is great. So I don't know if this test passed, but it wasn't working for me. Yeah, this is a very interesting test. Look at this. Interactive demo shapes animate on hover. So it went over to the shape, it hovered over it, but how would it know whether the shape was animated or not? And so it just waited for the shape to be visible. Like, this is a dumb test. It doesn't do what the test says it does, and so then if you're not checking it, it will certainly trip you up. However, this first test is probably pretty solid. So now it says, there we go, it fixed the issues. If we come back here and then we'll navigate to launch the app, it works, and then that works as well.